Right now, you can use an artificial intelligence to map out global airline logistics in milliseconds.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
Milliseconds.
but that exact same intelligence cannot figure out how to stop a contaminated head of lettuce from killing someone.
Right. It's wild.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a world where the digital realm is just breaking records and the physical world is, well, literally breaking down.
Breaking down is the right way to put it, yeah.
We are unpacking a massive stack of updates today from the August 12, 2026, 4 p.m. news brief from the Daily Tech Reader. And our mission for you today is to connect some seemingly entirely unrelated dots.
Because they really are connected.
Exactly. We're going to look at a naval standoff in the Middle East, a stock market that is surging on the back of AI hardware, and the literal dust in the air you are breathing right now.
So, looking at this brief as a whole, what is the underlying frequency of all this data?
I mean, it is the sound of friction. Today's sources show a world operating on two completely different, almost hostile tracks.
Two tracks. Okay, explain that. Well, on one side, you have this invisible, lightning-fast digital infrastructure. It's pristine, it's algorithmic, and it is evolving at breakneck speed.
Right.
But then, tethered to that digital cloud is the other track, which is basically these grinding, messy, real-world bottlenecks.
The physical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We are witnessing this massive collision between the digital acceleration we've, come to expect and the stubborn physical limitations of the planet we actually live on.
Okay, so if we want to understand the global economy today, we really have to start with those physical choke points. Where are things physically snarled?
Everywhere. But one place stands out.
Right, and based on today's intelligence, there is no bigger, tighter knot than the Strait of Hormuz. We are looking at a maritime standstill that is honestly hard to even conceptualize.
It really is.
On a normal, pre-war day, you would see about 130 to 140 massive commercial ships passing through that strait. I mean, it's a super highway.
Oh, absolutely. A major artery.
And on Tuesday, trackers picked up 8 vessels. Just 8.
Wow. I mean, think about the mechanics of that for a second. We're talking about one of the primary arteries of global commerce just being clamped shut.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of raw materials that suddenly has to, find another way around the planet, it creates a ripple effect. It touches everything from manufacturing schedules in Asia to, the price of a plastic bottle in your local grocery store.
And the diplomatic gridlock surrounding this physical choke point is absolute. The briefing actually outlines 2 completely opposing realities being stated on the world stage right now.
Yeah, the contrast is stark.
Just to lay out the facts impartially here, first, you have Iran claiming that zero progress has been made toward any interim peace agreement with the U.S. They are demanding the release of frozen assets.
Right.
And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, President Trump has stated that the United States maintains total control over the strait. He actually described the naval blockade there as a wall of steel.
Which leaves global shipping companies caught, entirely in the middle of these two conflicting political narratives.
Yep.
And while those statements are being broadcast from podiums, the physical reality on the water is escalating in a very deadly way.
It is. The fallout isn't just economic anymore. We're looking at the first fatal maritime attack of the war.
Yeah, that was a grim update.
Houthi forces struck the Tahama, which is an Egyptian-owned vessel. The human cost here is awful. 4 crew members dead, 2 Yemeni rescuers killed during the response, and 10 others injured.
And that event, it entirely rewrites the risk calculus for the maritime industry.
How so?
Well, you just cannot ask a civilian crew to sail an oil tanker through a kinetic conflict zone on the assumption that a naval blockade will catch every single incoming threat.
Right. The wall of steel isn't perfectly impenetrable.
Exactly. The insurance premiums alone become mathematically impossible, let alone the moral implications of sending human beings into the crossfire.
So the shipping industry has to adapt, which leads to these incredible, almost desperate logistical gymnastics. Saudi tankers are now resorting to this practice called ghost shipping.
Which is terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, if you aren't familiar with this, they aren't just taking a different route. They are literally turning off their tracking signals. They go completely dark while loading crude oil at the Red Sea port of Yanbu just to avoid Houthi surveillance.
Which is an incredibly dangerous maneuver in itself. You have these massive, lumbering vessels navigating complex waterways entirely blind to public tracking systems.
Exactly. And once they load up in the dark, they are completely rerouting. They push through the Suez Canal and utilize Egypt's Sumed pipeline to move the oil.
Right. bypassing the hot zones entirely.
Yeah, and because of this massive detour, crude loadings at Egypt's Sidi Career terminal just hit an all-time record of 2.17 million barrels per day.
That is a staggering amount of oil moving through a backdoor channel.
I was trying to picture how to explain this, and it's basically like the world's most important superhighway has been reduced to a single dirt shoulder.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right, so you have these massive semi-trucks forced to drive through back alleys with their headlights turned off just to avoid getting hijacked.
That is a perfect visualization of the mechanics at play. And when you zoom out and look at the macro energy math here, the implications are just massive.
Break down the math for us.
Well, the International Energy Agency is forecasting that global oil supply will fall by 4.3 million barrels per day in 2026.
Wow.
Yeah, and Middle Eastern output alone is currently sitting at 8.3 million barrels below its pre-war level.
Let me just pause on that. Over 8 million barrels of oil every single day just missing from the global market.
Precisely. And, the demand for energy hasn't evaporated just because the supply is trapped.
Right, we still need the oil.
Exactly. When you factor in global consumption, this geopolitical gridlock has created a massive 1.27 million barrel per day supply deficit.
So we are burning 1.25 million more barrels of oil a day than we can actually source safely.
Yes.
Which brings us directly to a massive economic paradox that I really need you to explain.
Okay, let's hear it.
If we have this massive energy deficit and ships are literally hiding in the dark to move crude oil, you would assume the global economy would be buckling under runaway inflation.
That would be the logical assumption, yeah.
But the data from today's brief reveals the exact opposite. July consumer prices only rose 0.1%. Annual inflation actually slowed down to 3.4%. How is the economy ignoring this?
Think of it like taking a really powerful painkiller for a broken leg.
Okay.
According to the data, gasoline prices actually declined for a second month in a row. That decline is the painkiller. It's temporarily shielding consumers from the immediate shock of the Middle East energy crisis.
So the pain is masked.
Right. But the broken leg, that 1.27 million barrel supply deficit, it's still there, compounding under the surface.
But because that painkiller is working for now, and inflation looks mild on paper, Wall Street is celebrating. I mean, traders are currently pricing in a 62% probability that the Federal Reserve will pause rate hikes in September.
And the market feeds on that kind of predictability.
Yeah, that anticipation just pushed the S&P 500 to a record high near 7,750.89.
It's a huge number.
But when you look at what is actually driving those record stock highs, it isn't widespread consumer confidence. The real engine pulling the entire market upward is artificial intelligence infrastructure.
Oh, entirely. It's the AI boom.
Like CoreWeave, their shares surged 19%. But the absolute wildest data point in this brief is Foxconn.
Yes, the Foxconn numbers are unbelievable.
They just reported a 35% profit jump to $1.86 billion. Foxconn, the company we all associate with assembling iPhones, just reported that AI servers now make up 51% of their total revenue.
They've completely pivoted.
Right. AI servers have officially overtaken consumer electronics, which are down to 29% for the very first time. Now, I have to push back here. When the iPhone company is suddenly a server company, first and foremost, are we sure this isn't a bubble?
I get why you'd ask that. It's tempting to label it a bubble because the pivot is so dramatic.
It feels incredibly speculative.
But a true bubble implies speculative demand for an asset that has no underlying utility. Foxconn isn't building these servers on the hope that someone might buy them.
Right, they have actual orders.
Exactly. They are filling massive, tangible orders for physical infrastructure. They are gearing up to ship the new NVIDIA Vera Rubin racks in the fourth quarter. That is real utility, not just speculation.
I hear that, but I noticed a specific detail in the text that makes me think the smart money is getting nervous. Hedge funds are actively shorting some of these AI stocks.
Yeah, they're placing bets against them.
They're shorting them because they fear the broader market is assuming, and I quote, uninterrupted infrastructure growth.
And those hedge funds are identifying the exact friction point we started with, the physical limits of our planet. Strong current demand doesn't erase the need for financial discipline.
Because you can't just wish more servers into existence.
Exactly. You can write infinite lines of code, but you cannot manufacture infinite microchips. The brief actually highlights a serious bottleneck in a process called CoWoS advanced packaging.
I saw that. What exactly is CoWoS and why is it bottlenecking the whole system?
So CoWoS stands for chip on wafer on substrate.
Okay.
Think of a traditional microchip like building a single-story house. It's relatively straightforward. Cavos is like trying to build a 50-story skyscraper where every single floor has to communicate with all the other floors instantaneously.
Oh, wow. So it's insanely complex.
Yes, the bottleneck isn't the silicon itself, it's the microscopic plumbing required to stack and connect these advanced components. There just simply is not enough physical manufacturing capacity on Earth to build these specialized structures as fast as the market wants them.
So physical limits are capping the digital growth.
Right. Software demand does not erase the laws of physics.
Okay, that makes sense. But what happens when that digital growth starts dictating the physical world? Because these AI servers that Foxconn is building, they aren't just sitting in a dark room analyzing text anymore.
No, not at all. They are stepping out into operational reality.
Exactly. The briefing notes that Ryanair just signed a massive 5-year deal with Google Cloud. They are deploying Gemini and DeepMind models to handle crew scheduling and operational decisions.
That is a massive shift.
We are moving past the era of a chatbot writing an email into an era where invisible AI deployments are managing the physical logistics of human beings.
Which requires an entirely different level of capability from the AI.
Right, because it's the real world.
Yeah. If you're scheduling crews for a massive airline, the AI isn't just looking at a calendar. It has to calculate millions of permutations involving union rules, mandatory rest periods, localized weather disruptions, all in real time.
Which is incredible for efficiency, but it forces a really tough accountability question.
Let's hear it.
Imagine an AI schedules a Ryanair flight crew during a massive, unexpected storm system and something goes wrong. Who is legally responsible? Is it the airline, the algorithm, or the human dispatcher who gave it the green light?
That exact scenario is going to be the defining regulatory battle of the next decade. And the source material highlights a critical takeaway regarding jobs and human labor here.
Which is?
The most practical career advantage right now is the ability to connect these automated systems with dependable human judgment. Autonomous systems still require human logging and approval for consequential actions.
So you cannot entirely remove the human from the loop.
Never. The AI might be able to process scheduling permutations in a millisecond, but it doesn't have human intuition. It doesn't know how a specific weather event actually feels on the tarmac.
Because the same system that can optimize a network can theoretically tear one down.
Exactly.
The brief mentions that OpenAI is actively assessing an upcoming model right now to see if it possesses critical offensive cybersecurity capabilities.
Which is the dark side of this deployment. If an AI understands a global airline well enough to optimize it, it understands the critical failure points well enough to dismantle it.
And speaking of critical failure points in the physical world, that brings us to the final reality check of today's brief.
The environmental data.
Right. While our digital infrastructure is attempting to optimize everything, the environmental and health data shows a planet and a consumer base under immense stress.
The physical world is pushing back hard.
Let's look at the weather extremes first, because they are jarring. July 2026 was just recorded as the hottest month on record for the contiguous U.S.
Unprecedented heat.
Yeah, and we have a massive Saharan dust plume that has traveled 4,000 miles across the ocean, currently sitting over Texas, severely threatening respiratory health.
Just literally choking the air.
Exactly. Plus severe storms in the Ohio Valley threatening power and cooling access, and a powerful El Niño setting California up for winter floods.
So extreme heat, dust, failing power grids, and impending floods.
All while the S&P 500 hits record highs. But if you look at the wallet squeeze on the average person, it is completely disconnected from those stock numbers.
The economic reality on the ground is very different.
Totally. Despite the market booming, inflation-adjusted average hourly earnings actually declined 0.2%.
So real wages are falling.
Yes, people are making less money in real terms. Meanwhile, healthcare prices rebounded, going up 0.4%. And our public health infrastructure is failing.
The disease tracking data in the brief is alarming.
Right. The U.S. is tracking a multi-state cyclosporiasis outbreak linked to contaminated lettuce, hit 15 states, 2 deaths, plus the highest annual measles total in decades. It brings us right back to the incredible irony of 2026.
It really does. We have artificial intelligence capable of mapping global airline logistics, yet we are battling contaminated lettuce and diseases like measles that we thought we eradicated decades ago.
Because you can't pay your medical bills with a Foxconn share.
Exactly. The ultimate consumer reality of this deep dive is that the good news of mild inflation in record stocks is a spreadsheet reality.
It's disconnected.
Completely. Flat real wages mean households are struggling to absorb the rising cost of medical care and summer cooling while literally breathing in Saharan dust.
It is a massive amount of friction to process. So let's quickly recap the journey of this deep dive for you.
We covered a lot of ground.
We started with the severe physical gridlock in the Middle East, those ghost ships navigating a blocked Strait of Hormuz in the dark,
Right, the energy bottleneck.
which created an energy deficit masked by cooling gas prices, which gave the stock market the green light to hit records, driven heavily by Foxconn's pivot to AI servers.
And those servers powering real-world AI.
Exactly, making operational decisions for Ryanair while testing the limits of manufacturing. And finally, we grounded all of that algorithmic optimism in the gritty reality of extreme heat, falling real wages, and public health crises.
It is an incredibly complex web, and it really leaves us with a final, unexplored question based on everything we unpacked.
Lay it on us.
We talked about Ryanair using AI to untangle flight crew schedules. But looking at the chaos in the Red Sea, what happens when we inevitably ask an advanced AI to solve massive physical supply chain disruptions?
Oh, wow. Like routing those ghost ships.
Exactly. Imagine routing those ghost ships around a naval blockade using an algorithm. When we hand over crisis management of a war-torn supply chain to an AI, do we gain ultimate efficiency, or do we risk losing the human intuition that prevents a global incident?
That is exactly the tension you need to keep your eyes on. The systems running your life are evolving fast, but they're still bound by the physical world. Keep questioning the forces shaping your reality. Until the next deep dive, keep digging.